Now before we get into the video, I do want to say a massive thank you to today's video sponsors, and once again that is jerseyfifa.com. They really do help keep the content on this channel going, and they even sent me a free shirt which you can see on screen here. And as you can see, I got the new Manchester United home kit, and genuinely the kit really is top quality. I highly recommend their product. So make sure to get in a link in the description down below, and now if you use code JerseyFifa at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. You get a great football shirt, and you help support the channel, which I really do appreciate massively. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we're doing something a little bit different, and as you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be ranking some of the transfers that we've seen this window. And actually, I'm going to do the top 15 biggest moves we've seen so far, from a financial point of view. Now, for a lot of the players, we don't have the exact price because we don't always really get those figures released. It's always a rough number. But I'm going to be taking what I believe to be the top 15 transfers in terms of price tag and ranking them on how well I think they'll do for their club. And also we have got Anthony on the list as well. Now, when I'm recording this, he hasn't actually officially signed, but it looks like it's going to happen. We've had the Fabrizio Romano, here we go. So it looks like a matter of time. Now, at the end of the video, I want you guys to let me know in the comments one player that you think you would change what tier I put them in. So make sure to let me know what you think in the comments at the end of the video. But we are going to start off with... who should we start with? Let's start with Tchouaméni at Real Madrid. Now, Tchouaméni is one of the big transfers we've seen this window, the biggest, in the top three. Tchouaméni for €100 million, which is about £85 million. Now, like I said, that is just a rough fee. But for me, this goes right in the top as the S tier, because I think this is an incredible bit of business, especially when you consider the fact that Casimiro has left the club. Initially, when the transfer happened, we thought that Tchouaméni might come in and play a backup role this season, but by the looks of things, he is going to be Real Madrid's starting holding midfielder. And for me, I think he's one of the best in the world already, even at his young age. And I think he's really going to prove himself for Madrid this season. He got an assist the other night for Real Madrid for Vinicius Jr. And defensively, he is very good. And I think he's at the perfect club to really develop and get that experience at the top level. There's every chance that he wins the Liga this season, but I think it's a really good bit of business because he can do it for the next decade or so. This isn't a signing that's coming in on a short-term fix for 3 years. Tchouaméni could be at the very top of the game for the next 10 years if he does things right in terms of his injuries and fitness and things like that. I think it's a really good signing, and as a Manchester United fan, I'm a little bit jealous. Next up, we are going to go for Erling Harland, one of the other big bits of business that we saw very early on in the transfer window. And this one is actually nearly half the price of Tchouaméni, I believe, in euros. And it is about, let me just find the price here, roughly £52 million, which, for one of the best goal scorers in the world, if not the best goal scorer in the world, at a young age, who again is going to do it for the next decade, I think we all think he's going to be challenging Ballon d'Or. He has to go in this top tier. Now the question was, could he adapt to the Premier League? And he's doing it already, scoring a hat-trick at the weekend, scoring goals for fun. Now people will point to the fact that he's not getting a lot of touches in games, but Man City clearly signed him to score the goals in the big moments, especially in the Champions League, and I think he's going to do it. He's doing it in the Premier League as well. Perhaps the true test will be the Champions League. Can he help City get over the line and finally win that trophy? We'll have to wait and see. But it's Erling Harland, one of the best forwards in the world, playing for Manchester City, one of the best football teams in the world, at £52 million. It's an incredible bargain when we look at some of the other transfers that have been happening this summer. I think it's a brilliant bit of business. Next up, we are going to go for Delict. Now, Delict was a player that moved, again, reasonably early in the summer for about £68 million. And this is a bit of a weird one to me because Delict is a very good footballer, but I don't actually think we've seen him starting in the Bundesliga yet. So it's a lot of money on a centre-back that isn't playing. Now, Lucas Hernandez at Bayern on the left-hand side of the centre-back pairing isn't going to be replaced. He's too good. The option is to replace Upamecano, because he didn't have a great season last year, but he's actually started this season pretty well. And at the moment, Delict can't actually really get into the first team, so £68 million on a player that at the moment is kind of sitting on the bench, it seems like a lot of money, so it doesn't seem great business at this moment in time. Now, I dare say in 5 years' time we'll look back at this and say it's a really good signing, because he could come very good. But at the moment, he's literally not playing, so you could make an argument for him going down here, but I think we all know his potential. He's a good player. He will come good eventually, it's just when he gets that game time. And is he going to break through and make a massive difference at Bayern this season? I'm not actually too sure. This is one where I'm really interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. How much football is Delict going to get this season? Because as of yet, we haven't really seen it, so I can't really put him any higher than B. So moving back over to Spain now, I want to talk about the signing of Rafinha, who went for about £55 million. And this is a bit of a weird one, because personally I think Rafinha is an incredible player. Last season he was one of my favourite players in the Premier League, and actually the season before that as well. I think he's really exciting. He's made the right wing spot in the Brazil team his own over the past 12 months, He's a very, very good player. He works hard, he's skillful, great at progressing the ball, and contributes goals and assists. For me, he's one of the best right wingers in the world at the moment. The issue with the signing is that I spent £55 million on one of the best right wingers in the world, but he can't get in the team because they have Usman Dembele. Now, when the signing actually happened, we assumed that Usman Dembele was going to leave because there were contract issues. So at the time, I would have put it up here as an S tier because I think he is a really, really good player and fits their system perfectly. But with Usman Dembele still at the club, it seems it's hard because he can't really get into the team into his ideal spot at the moment. So it's a bit of a weird one. I'm sure over the course of the season, Barcelona will need squad depth and it will come good again. But a bit like Delict, if at the moment he's kind of warming the bench a little bit at times, he can't really nail down a spot in a starting 11, it's hard to put him much higher than this because Usman Dembele, for me, is probably top 3 right wingers in the world. His creativity levels are absolutely absurd, and so are the numbers that he produced during the second half of last season. So right now, I'll probably put Rafinha as a B. However, there is the chance that Dembele gets injured, Rafinha plays a lot, and he could move up. But for now, I think I would put him in the B tier. Whilst a couple of those players have been struggling for game time early on in their careers at new clubs, one player that hasn't been at all is Cucurella, who signed for Chelsea for about £60 million. And Cucurella has come pretty much straight into the first team, dropping Ben Chilwell to the bench. Whether that's in a back 3 formation, playing as a wing back, or in a 4-2-2 where he kind of plays this hybrid left back role, where at times he kind of tucks into a back 3 and at times he's pushing much higher forward. But I think it's a really, really good bit of business. Do I think he is worth 60 million? Not really, because he's only really done it for one season at the top level. But I just think he is such a technically good player, and I think he's perfect for the Chelsea system. He offers versatility in the sense that he can play in a back 3, he can play wing back, he can play as a traditional fullback. He really does have so much to his game, and I think we haven't quite seen it yet, but I think as the season progresses, we are going to see that this was a really, really good bit of business from Chelsea. For me, probably the best bit of business that they've done this summer. There's not really too much to say in this one. I think it's a great signing. Speaking in England, and another player that we've seen moving to Manchester City is Calvin Phillips from Leeds United. And again, this is one of those transfers that happened probably over a month ago now. It was quite a while ago. And it was quite a big fee. Let me find it here. It was about £42 million. I'm a little bit unsure on this one because Calvin Phillips is a really good footballer. And I think if he moved to almost any other team in the Premier League outside the top 3, you'd probably be saying he definitely starts for them because he is very good. He obviously has played well for England in the past, done a great job for Leeds. However, he is coming off the back of an injury-hit season where he never had any flow to his season at all because of injury for Leeds last year. And Manchester City have Rodri, who I think right now is the best holding midfielder in the world. So he's another one of those players that can't really get into the team. I think he adds a bit of tactical versatility because he could play as a left-sided central midfielder and offer a bit more defensive coverage, so maybe that's something we'll see in the Champions League. But as of yet, he's had injury problems, so we haven't seen him. And like I said, I think it's hard to put him any higher than this when I can't see a way for him to fit into the team. I don't think it's a D because I think he's a really good signing still. He's a really good footballer, and squad depth is important when City are going to play a lot of football this year. But at the moment, when he can't really break into the first team, and he did cost about £42 million, £42 million is a lot for a player that I think might spend a decent amount of season on the bench. Let me know what you think in the comments. Another Manchester City related player for a similar fee was Gabrielle Jesus, who of course left Manchester City to join Arsenal for about £45 million and to link up with his former coach Mikel Arteta. And this is a signing that I was a little bit unsure of, I'll be honest. I'd done a video a couple of months ago talking about strikers that Arsenal should sign. And actually Scamacca was the one that I was talking about, who is now at West Ham. Because I questioned Jesus' ability to score goals, basically. I think he's very good at the link play, he brings players in well, we're seeing his dribbling is very effective. He works hard. My question was, can he score enough goals? And he's kind of shut me up really early on in the season because he is on fire. And not just his goals, but his link play, his ability to link out wide in particular, has been really important for Arsenal. So I thought this transfer had a lot of potential, but I did put a slight question mark over it. At the moment, Jesus is answering those questions with goals and assists and really key work for his team. So I think he has to go in the S tier because he has hit the ground running really well, and Arsenal look very, very good at the moment. I literally uploaded a video this morning about why they're top of the Premier League, which maybe we didn't expect. So Arsenal are doing very well, and Gabrielle Jesus is a lot of the reason for that, so it has to be an S tier signing. One player who may have perhaps expected to be at the top of the Premier League by now was Darwin Nunez, who moved to Liverpool for about €100 million, about £85 million with add-ons. Again, I'm not too sure on the fee, but that's not the important thing here. The important thing is, was it a good transfer? And where do I rank it? And this is probably affected by what we've seen from him already. We've seen some good goals from him. We've seen his threat, what he offers with his running off the ball, his strength and things like that. However, at the same time, we have seen some really poor touches. We've seen some bad passing. We've seen some pretty bad misses. And he's had a red card for just pure stupidity from Anderson against Crystal Palace. Anderson didn't really have to do too much to wind him up. It was just physical play throughout the match. Darwin Nunez reacted, kind of headbutted him, that sort of motion, and got the red card. And I've been saying all summer long, I don't think this is a great signing because of his technical ability on the ball. If we talk about Roberto Firmino at the weekend getting 5 goal contributions in a game, I don't think Darwin Nunez offers that. And actually, I think just his silly antics, he might struggle to get back into the team because Firmino played well, and Darwin Nunez just so silly. It's so silly, that red card. It was so needless, and it has set him back a bit. So for me, I think I would go with a B because I do still think he'll score a lot of goals. Now, in terms of his technical quality, I think he could come lower. But I do think he'll score a lot of goals this season, so I think a B is probably about right. He did cost a lot of money for only one real proven season, but I think he will come good. I think he'll score enough goals. And again, he is at that age where he will do it for a long time. So I think B is the category that I want for Darwin Nunez. Now, a player that Darwin Nunez was not able to face because of his red card was Lisandro Martinez of Manchester United, who moved to the club for around £57 million according to this list here. £57 million for a centre-back that is quite short and only done it in Dutch football. That's all we keep hearing about. He's short, it was only Dutch football. Lisandro Martinez has shut everyone up. Those mainstream pundits that were telling you that he's too short to play Premier League football, he can't be a centre-back, Lisandro Martinez has shut them up. He's winning a lot of his aerial duels, but more importantly, I think it's what he offers on the ground. Firstly, from a defensive point of view, his ground duels are brilliant. He's very good, strong, physical in the tackle despite his size. He's very tenacious, almost a typical South American defender. But I think as Ten Hag, or quote Ten Hag ball progresses, I think Lisandro Martinez is going to be a very, very important player. I think the aim eventually for Ten Hag is for his side to dominate the ball, so there aren't a ton of defensive duels. The aim is for Lisandro Martinez to be at the heart of that possession-based football, like what we see from Manchester City. I think it's a really good signing, and if Ten Hag is going to play the football that he wants, Lisandro Martinez will be a big part of that. And the fee, with some of the other fees we've seen this window, I actually don't think it's too bad. So I'm going to put it as an A-rated signing. Sticking with Manchester United, and the most recent signing that we've seen confirmed when I'm recording this video was Casimiro. And this was a lot of money, about £60 million for a 30-year-old. So instantly, a lot of people instantly will put him down here because apparently, because he's joining Manchester United, he suddenly passed his best. He's not very good. He got carried by that Real Madrid team. Basically, it's a load of rubbish from jealous fans. Casimiro is a brilliant signing. Yes, it is a lot of money, and United would have been better going for someone like Tchouaméni. That would have been much smarter business. Perhaps even Calvin Phillips, because it would have been cheaper, younger, straight into the first team. However, Casimiro, £60 million for a player that has won a ridiculous number of Champions League titles. He's won La Liga, he's been there, he's done a lot, and I think both defensively and on the ball, he is going to bring so much to this United team. Everyone wants Frankie de Jong, and personally I still do, alongside Casimiro, but Casimiro from a defensive point of view will bring a real assuredness to this team. Would I go S tier? Probably not because of the price and the age. But I think for his pure ability, again, for me, he's one of the best holding midfielders in the world. Rodri is perhaps the only one that's better for what he does on the ball. For one of the best holding midfielders in the world, a position that United have needed to address for a lot of years now, I think it's a good signing. Like I said, he doesn't quite go S tier because of the age and the fee, but I think it's very, very good. United have got themselves an incredible midfielder, an area that desperately needed to be upgraded, and they've done it. So overall, I think good business. Let's put him in A. Now, before we finish on the Prem teams, I want to go back abroad, back to Spain, where we are going to talk about Robert Lewandowski, who moved, I believe, for the cheapest fee on this list from Bayern Munich to Barcelona for about £39 million. Now, again, like Casemiro, we have got to throw that age issue at him because he is quite an aging player, so it is a lot of money. However, the hardest job in football and the most important job in football, yes, there's all these different technical roles, but the most important thing is to put the ball in the back of the net more than the other team do. It sounds simple, but football is a simple game. Lewandowski will help you do that. Lewandowski is an incredible goal scorer, and with age, he just keeps getting better. I think he really adds something different to the Barcelona team. Now, in terms of stylistically, I think we're going to see Lewandowski play more how he plays with Poland than what he did with Bayern. With Bayern, he wasn't a player that really massively got involved in moves and really linked the play. Whereas actually, if you watch him for Poland, he often drops to the left wing. He is really bringing others into the move. And I think that's what we're going to see from him at Barcelona. Whether or not that is the case, we'll have to wait and see, and I will cover Barcelona this season. But it's Robert Lewandowski, one of the best goal scorers we've ever seen, and certainly one of the best goal scorers of the current generation. Players who are still playing, scoring goals, Lewandowski is one of the very best. His goal record over the past 3 seasons in the Bundesliga is an absolute joke. So for him to go in that Barcelona team, does he improve their chances in Europe? Yes. Does he improve their chances in La Liga? Yes. Is he perhaps too old to make it into that S tier? Just about. So he goes in A, probably somewhere near the top, but I'm not too bothered about the order in these. But Lewandowski is a very, very good transfer, and it was a reasonably cheap fee as well. Now, having just spoken about cheap fee, it's time to go right up the other end to one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive transfer of the window, and that will be Antony to Manchester United. Now, the talk is €100 million with add-ons, which is about £85 million. Like I said, with all of these, we're not 100% sure on the fee, but this is an approximation. This is one of the most expensive signings, and again, people are going to say it's a lot of money for a player who's only really done it in the Eredivisie. However, I think Ten Hag knows what he wants, and what we've seen from Ten Hag's signings already, in Lisandro Martinez, Eriksen and Malacia, is that they are all improving the starting 11, and especially from a technical point of view, they are better than what United have already. And Antony, I think, ticks that box as well. He knows Ten Hag's style of football, he desperately wants to play for the club, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a really good signing. I don't think it's an S tier just because it is a lot of money for a player who really still needs to prove himself. However, I think it is a very, very good signing, and I think he drastically improves the Manchester United team. If you remember what I was talking about with the game against Southampton on the channel, I think that game was crying out for a player like Antony. A player to hold the width and win his individual battles on the ball with his first touch, his dribbling, his flair, things like that. I think he's going to bring that to United. His ball progression numbers are good, which is something else United need. It's a Ten Hag signing, it's a Ten Hag player, and that is exactly what United need. So overall, I think that is a good signing. Another signing that's gone through over the past week or so is Isak to Newcastle from Real Sociedad for, I can't find the fee here, about £60 million, roughly. This is a bit of an odd one because Isak didn't have a great season last year. He only scored 6 goals in La Liga, which is not a great tally. However, 3 years ago he was putting up some very impressive numbers, and he was actually being spoke about in the same conversations as Mbappe and Harland. So he's clearly not a bad player, and the potential is there. And I think he was hampered last season by a rather poor, slightly defensive approach from Real Sociedad, which limited the chances for Isak on the ball. However, I think at Newcastle he's going to get a lot more chances. Newcastle are playing quite nice football early on in the season. You've got players like St. Max, Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes trying to create chances. Most of Isak's goals come from in and around the 6-yard box. And I think stylistically he is actually more similar to Callum Wilson than what people think, in terms of his strengths being getting early shots off but also ball carrying. So I think that is something that Eddie Howe wants from his striker, his centre forward, and he's going to get that from Isak, and he will get goals as well. Can I put it higher than B? I'm not sure, just because of 6 goals last season really isn't good enough for this sort of transfer fee. However, over the course of the season, I think he will do well, and I think perhaps in 3 years' time this is a signing where he could be a really good player, and he's the sort of player that could help Newcastle kind of take that step towards European football. He's a very good young player, his ceiling is high, Newcastle just have to hope he reaches that potential that we all know he has. One player who has pretty much already reached his potential, been there and done it, is Raheem Sterling, and for me, this is one of the most underrated and least spoken about transfers of the window, Raheem Sterling to Chelsea. And I think I've said it on the channel a couple of times this summer. I can't understand why City let him go. Raheem Sterling is an incredible footballer, and especially against low blocks, his movement, his intelligence, but also his finishing ability will be crucial to Chelsea this season. They have struggled for goals in the past. Sterling will bring that, like I said, against low blocks, and it's his intelligence off the ball with his movement which really impresses me the most. If you combine that with the fact that you are weakening a rival in Manchester City, I think all round it's a really good transfer. I don't think it's quite S tier because it's hard to explain. For me, he's not quite off this level. If you look at the other 3 players we've got up here, the impacts that they are going to make at their football club, I don't think Raheem Sterling necessarily has that. However, I would have him right at the top of A. I really like him. It's a big year for him heading into the World Cup this winter. I think he's in for a big season and he needs to deliver, and I think he will. I think Chelsea got themselves a real good player there. So the final player of this 15 on the list is Richarlison, who moved to Spurs early in the window. And actually it's quite interesting that there's only one Spurs player on here, because they did do a lot of business quite early on, didn't they? In terms of Richarlison, the price I've got here was about £60 million again, which, again for me, almost similar to Calvin Phillips a little bit. The question is he going to get into the first team? He's not better than Harry Kane, he's not better than Kulusevski, and he's not better than Heung-min Son. However, Son has had a poor start to the season, and the signing of Richarlison has allowed Conte to drop Son at times, drop him like on the 60th minute, bring him down to the bench, and put Richarlison on. And that is something that Spurs didn't have before. They had no depth in the attack. So Richarlison does provide them that bit of quality from the bench which they lacked before. But I just think, is he really going to get enough chances this season to justify a £60 million transfer fee? I'm not too sure. I actually like him as a player. I really liked him at Watford and I liked him at Everton, when I know a lot of people didn't. A lot of people don't like him, especially English football fans. But I quite like him as a player. He's got that edge to him. He got booted the other day for doing keepy-uppies, which I don't mind at all. I don't think he done anything wrong, but, you know, it's just part of football. How do I rate this as a signing? This is a really interesting one, if you ask me. I don't think he's as good as Isak. I think Spurs' ambitions this season are higher than Newcastle's, and I think they've signed themselves a worse centre-forward. So for that reason, and the potential lack of starting football in a World Cup year, I think I'm going to put Richarlison in C. Let me know what you guys think. Am I off on that one? Am I underrating him a little bit? Like I said, I do like him as a player. My question is just how much football he gets this year. I'm going to put him in C and leave him there. And I think that is my final tier list for the signings so far. Now, this is being recorded on Monday the 29th. So, very, very close to the end of the transfer window. Are we going to see any more big signings? I doubt we see signings that are going to get into this list. Unless perhaps Frankie de Jong moves or Bernardo Silva. They're the only players I could really see generating the fees that would make this list. So I think these are going to be our 15 biggest transfers this summer in terms of transfer fee. And overall, I think they're all pretty good signings. I've got none of them in the D section. I've got a couple in C, but that is more questions over game time rather than quality. B, a couple of players I need to be convinced by, or again, game time. And then these in A and S, I think are really good signings. It's been a good transfer window so far. Let's see how it ends. I might do some sort of coverage on transfer deadline day. Let me know if you want that in the comments down below. And also, let me know which one of these players you would move. Do you think Richarlison should be a lot higher? Is Gabrielle Jesus too high? Is Cucurella too high? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different sort of video. And I'll see you in the next one.